Greetings, viewers. Today I'm going to do a hopefully short review of the Israeli Army book from the World War III Team Yankee game. This book is a continuation on from the Oil Wars book they put out several years ago, which also ties in slightly with Fate of a Nation. But for today, we're going to focus on the IDF. Now, when I did my unboxing video, there was some funny comments about this being the genocide edition. I was upset about that, and then, my dark sense of humor actually kicked in, and I found that kind of funny. But this has nothing to do with the current conflict going on in the world in 2025. This, in fact, is set in, it starts off on August 6th of 1985. So this has nothing to do with the current conflict. If you think it is, well, I'm sorry. This is essentially a fantasy game with a historical paint job. That said, let's get on to the review. Now, all of the fluff in the book, you got your index. This is the same map that's in Oil Wars. Same map as in this book. All of the text is the same as in Oil Wars, or sorry, all of the story. So, you have the attacking, the Syrians mobilizing and moving units into areas bordering Israel and Lebanon. The attack comes in August 6, 1985. That's the same setup as in, again, Oil Wars. Now, this book's much thinner than Oil Wars because it only has one country to deal with and not 3.5. Syria only has one page in this book. But that's not, a lot of people like this stuff, the lore or fiction or whatever you want to call it. All of these maps or attack patterns, vectors, planning is all the same as in Oil Wars. When we get to the Israeli special rules, we can see the updated formations. Again, same thing with NATO allies. You can take NATO allied support. You have airborne now in IDF, not in Oil Wars. You have a Pleak armor, which you can now add that to the M113s, which were not in Oil Wars. Overhead fire, I believe, is the same. MLRS is the same. You get map pads and Dragon 2s. You get the TEMS-2. It doesn't actually say here, but it's the TEMS-2. You get napalm on your Skyhawks. Again, same as Oil Wars. Radar's the same. The Sawyers are the same. Tandem warheads are new. And the NLOS, down line of sight, is the same. So we will go on to actual formation reviews. Merkava 3, and I'm mostly going to focus on points in the book. Dynamic points, they're out there. Merkava 3. It's got 23 front armor and 10 side armor with Chobom armor, so it's got 16 side armor against heat. Anti-tank 22. In my opinion, the front armor of 23 is completely overkill. I know it's more historically accurate because the only thing going through it is a Maverick, or whatever the Soviet equivalent of a Maverick is. I forget what it is. It's on the Frogfoots and the Su-17/22s. Yeah, you can take the AT Spiral 9s or whatever the Storm has. I don't know why I pronounce it like a German. Whatever the Storm has, but there's really no reason to ever take AT Spiral 9s, in my opinion, on your Hinds when you can just shoot tanks in the side. Anyway, Merkava 3, it's super expensive. It's 17 points a tank in the book. So you're only generally bringing 2. If you bring 3, you only have like a 49-point army to play with because you're putting these guys in your reserve. Great reserve choice, but that's what you're putting in reserve. You get a formation of 3 platoons. So you get your HQ of up to 2 platoons of up to 2 or 3. And then I like the fact that this is the same thing in all the Merkava platoons, is you get to bring one, either Merkava 3, Merkava 2, or Merkava 1 as your second mandatory Merkava platoon. So your first mandatory Merkava platoon is Merkava 3s. Your secondary will be 2s or 1s. And that, I think, really helps out this formation. Then you have your Jeep Recce, or Rabbi, or M113. Honestly, I don't think the Jeep Recce platoons, your Spearhead, is really worth it when you can take M113s or Rabbis for the same points. Then you get to take either a Mech Infantry platoon or Reserve Infantry platoon. We'll talk about those here in a moment. Same thing with the Recces, or Recon. Oh wow, it goes from Merkava 3 to Merkava 1. So Merkava 1, Same thing as in Oil Wars. Merkava 2 is the same thing, same formations as, like, got to take 1 to 2 for your HQ, one mandatory platoon, and then you can take a mandatory platoon of 1, 2, or 3. I don't think the Merkava 1 is worth it, even with dynamic points, because for one more point, you upgrade your bazooka skirts to Chobam. You go from your side armor goes from 6 to 10 against heat, or with the Merkava 2, you go from 7 to 6, or sorry, not Chobam, BDD. I think BDD goes up to 13. Is that not a special rule in this book? BDD must be in the normal rulebook. But I believe BDD either goes up to 13 or 16. Which 13 is good enough to stop, like, Carl Gustav's, RPG 7s. And, yeah, so for one more point of tank? 7 points for one. So yeah, for one more point of tank, you get way better side armor against heat. I think that's a much better deal. But if you want to run tanks, I would honestly suggest only the Merkava 2 if you're playing with book points. So far. Don't like Merkava 1s. Again, it's literally just, and you get better armor for one more point. So the Merkava 1 has a front armor of 18, side armor 6. The Merkava 2 has a front armor 19, side armor 7, has BDD. They have the same gun, might as well pay that extra point for better armor and BDD. Your recce platoons now, your recce options or recon, are 3 Jeeps for 2 points, unarmored vehicles, perfectly serviceable, it's only 2 points. Or for 2 points you can take 3 M113s with 50 cals that have armor, so you have to choose actual tank weapons against it. I think unarmored vehicles in this game are a little weak. Because they have a vehicle save and they don't require a firepower check, which makes sense. It's a Jeep. Like, just open up with your M16 and take them out. But at the same time, then you have, like, again, for the same points, you can take a M113 recon platoon. Now you can only take the M113 recon platoon in the tank formations. You can take the Rabbi or Jeeps as formation support, or the not formation support. I believe it's called support. Division support is what it used to be called in Flames of War version 3. So yeah, all the way down here, you can take the Jeep or Rabbi recon platoon in division support. And then your gray boxes, you can take the M113 in your tank companies. Which they don't have the Rabbi right here. I guess we'll look at it later. Your Magash 6 or Magash 6s. You can take them with the Blazer armor. So give them ERA. Just like the Pattons. They're not worth it. The Pattons are already bad, in my opinion, because of the, anti-tank 20 against the front armor of like T80s with their 20, or like the T64s or T72s with the ERA that are up to like 18 armor now. Guess what? The Magash has an anti-tank of 19. Why? There's the Magash 6 is a cool looking tank. If you build your Magash 6 company, guess what? You can play them in Fate of a Nation. So if you build that way, you can bring them here, and then you have your army for both games. But I don't recommend it. In this game, they're not worth it. They're not cheap enough to make them worth it. I think Leopard 1s would be better. Or Leopard 1s are, in my opinion, better. Whereas the Magash 6, you get to bring up to 3 per platoon, and it's not a lot of points. You don't have a lot of anti-tank. Now, it helps that they're brutal, but they also don't have laser rangefinder. If they had laser rangefinder, maybe. And again, they're super expensive in Fate of a Nation. And you don't get the blazer armor in this one, because it's the 73 version. But again, in your Magash 6s, you can take your, you can't mix your tanks in this one. You can't mix your Merkava. So you take 2 mandatory platoons of Magash 6s, and then your gray box of Magash 6, and then your recon or your infantry. However, the Schultz exist. I actually think the Schultz aren't a bad option compared to the... Hold up. Oh man, I may have just lied. Yeah, I just lied. Wow. Alright, scratch everything I just said about the Magash 6. I thought the shot was going to be better than the Magash 6. I actually like the Magash 6 better. I still don't like the Schultz or the Magash 6s in this current format of Team Yankee, where everything is super high front armor or is just super spammy. What what's a company of 11 McGash 6 going to do against 41 T55s? Shots are the same thing as the McGash. You just trade armor for what, 1 point? So your McGash 6 is 4 points without its up armor. The Shout is 4 armor, and it has ERA built in, but it's got less front armor, less side armor. Or you can pay the 1 point to give the McGash 6 as the Blazer, which gives it ERA and ups its front armor to better. And is, yeah. Again, you can't mix your Shouts. So I'm gonna take back what I said about me not liking the McGash 6. I like the McGash 6 better than the Shouts. Still don't like either of them. And I'm also disappointed you can't mix them in with Merkavas. I mean, I understand because they're older tanks. You know, these are from the 70s, whereas the Merkavas are the new fancy modern stuff in the 80s. But it'd be kind of nice if you could mix and match them just to like help out with like the Merkava 3 expensive point cost. So if you want cheap tanks, I would go with the McGash 6, because 3 McGash 6s are 11 points, whereas 3 Shouts are 12. And pretty much all your stats, which I forgot to mention. I mostly focus on like tank armor and whatnot, but Israel has fantastic stats. You know, Courage 3, Skill 3, Morale 3, Assault 4, Remount 2+, and Counterattack 3+. That's actually, in my opinion, what saves the Merkava 3 over the Leclerc. The Leclerc has a morale of 5+, whereas the Merkava 3 is a morale 3+. So if you bring 2 Merkava 3s, you don't have to worry about one running away when one is destroyed. Whereas the Leclerc, one gets destroyed, and have fun trying to roll that 5+ to keep it around. But move back to the Shouts and the McGashes. I would actually take Merkava 1s over McGashes myself. I think the points are fairly similar. Yeah, one Merkava 1 is 6 points, and one up armored McGash 6 is 5 points. I'd pay 1 more point to take a Merkava 1. Or I'd pay 2 more points to take Merkava 2s. Infantry Company. This is the bigger winners. So you get your 2 black box mech platoons, your gray box mech platoon, and then you get to bring 1 tank platoon of either Merkava 3s, Merkava 1, 2, or 3s, your McGash 6, or a Shout Blazer tank platoon. You also get an 81mm mortar platoon and an M150 anti-tank section. So I personally would almost always bring either Merkava 2s or Merkava 3s just to eat reserve points. Infantry have not changed at the baseline. So if you still have your infantry from the Oil Wars, great. If you have your infantry from Fate of a Nation, guess what? They can work because they're pretty much the same numbers. So fantastic. Thank you, Battlefront, for making it so you can play both armies essentially across 2 different game formats. However, the big thing with the Mech Infantry Platoon, or the Mech Infantry Company, is you can now upgrade your transports and some of your weapons. So your dragons, you can pay 1 point per dragon to upgrade them to Dragon 2s. A little expensive compared to the US because they get to pay half a point for a dragon. But you know what? That Anti-Tank 21 is huge compared to 18. You can upgrade the RPGs to B300s, which gives them a better firepower. I'm not sure that's worth it, because you go from 17 to the RPG 7 is Anti-Tank 17, firepower 4+. The B300 is 17, firepower 3+, or Anti-Tank 17. Now it's only 1 point for the whole platoon. You have 3 RPG 7s, so if you have that extra point laying around, upgrading them to have a better firepower, not a bad idea. But the new fancy stuff. You can pay 1 point per platoon to upgrade all of your M113s to Vaizadas. And I actually highly recommend this if you play this faction, because this makes them, it gives them applique armor, which I need to double check applique. Applique gives them a side and front armor of 13. It makes them highly resistant to BMP 1s, and it also gives them saves against the BMP 1 missile, and it gives them the better saves against small anti-tank weapons. It makes them immune to laws, RPG 18s, and it gives them saves against SMAs, Carl Gustavs, and RPG 7s. And it's 1 point for the whole platoon. So you get 4 in a platoon, at your max size platoon, 4 M113s, and you upgrade them all to that. That's only 1 point. However, you also have the Nagma shot. And in my last battle report, I played the Nagma shot. And I realized, as cool as it is with its front armor of 13, it has ERA, so its side armor will also go up to like 16, and its front armor will go up to 16. Makes it it makes it immune to BMP-1s. And I know I keep mentioning BMP-1s, but I think that's the best Soviet transport in the game. It's got a lot of firepower for small guns. It's got 40 millimeter grenade launchers, so it has anti-tank 4s on those. It's got, based off the things I've seen on Facebook, the FAQ, the 2x7.62 AA machine guns. Those are 4 dice, so great against infantry. However, the problem is, and this might be wrong, this might be an FAQ. I don't have the FAQ with me. If it is, and it is incorrect, please correct me down in the comments below. It's front armor 13, which means deep armor. If you play any scenario where you get stuck with deep armored reserves, you have to put it in reserve, or deep reserves, deep reserves. And a lot of them are deep delayed reserves, but yeah, you have to put them in reserve, which means you have to take your infantry with them, and you could literally end up with no infantry on the table. So if you're bringing Nagma shots, go aggressive, which makes sense. It's got a lot of armor. It's a Centurion hull. If I was gonna, in the future when I play this army, I'm going to bring probably upgrade my HQ and 2 platoons to the Vaizadas, and then bring 1 platoon of Nagma shots with all the fancy bells and whistles, and they're going to be my aggressive platoon. In the infantry formation, you get your 81 millimeter mortar platoon. It's 3 vehicles for 2 points, 3 mortar teams, not bad. It doesn't have the M150 tows, but the M150 tows are the same across pretty much every company, or every faction, nation. Words. Reserve Infantry Company. This one I think is the biggest one in the book. It's dirt cheap infantry. You still get all the same skills. Actually, I think they're slightly worse, right? Yeah, they're 4s instead of 3s. That's fine. 4s is still decent enough. And you still get your 3 infantry platoons, you get your 81 millimeter mortars, and you either get M150s or Jeep anti-tank platoons. And then again, your accompanying tank platoon. Infantry platoon, however, does not require you to bring M113s. You have to pay for M113s. You can't take Vaizadas or Nagma shots. But I'm okay with that because it's 8 points for your giant NATO platoon of infantry. You can upgrade them to Dragon 2s. You can't take the B300s. B300s, I'm take or leave right now. But you still get your Dragon 2s, you still get that giant infantry platoon. Fantastic. If you're choosing defend, I would almost always, if you're going to plan on playing a defensive army, I would almost always choose an infantry platoon, or reserve infantry company. I keep forgetting there's 2 infantry companies in the game. And the nice thing about it, same units, same number of teams, you can swap them as you please. They also get a reserve mortar team, which is slightly worse. They get a reserve M150 tank section, which you can upgrade to the map pads. Again, I would actually recommend doing that every time. Now, if you take map pads or Dragon 2s, you have to bring everything that can take them. So if you bring a bunch of stuff with tows and you upgrade to map pads, everything has to bring map pads. If you bring 1 Dragon 2, you have all of them bring Dragon 2s. But the map pads for 1 point on your M150s, you go from anti-tank 21 to anti-tank 23. And you get longer range. You go from 48 inches to 56. I think that's fantastic. Anti-tank 23 can make or break. It can actually go through the front armor of a T-80. Excuse me. The Jeeps. I don't think the Jeeps are worth it. Although, I may stand corrected as I read this. The reserve Jeep doesn't seem too bad. You get 4 map pads potentially instead of 2 map pads for double the points. So 3 points for them and 2 map pads, or 6 points for 4 map pads. Again, Jeeps. Again, they're unarmored vehicles. I'm not a biggest fan of unarmored vehicles just because they can be pinned down and just shoot them with your rifle teams, your Galils or your FN mags, or your AK-47s. I think the Arab series get AK-47s, and you just take them out because it's a 4-up save. So I'm not a big fan of the Jeepers. The Jeep options in this game, Jeep options in this book now, but having 4 shots of anti-tank 23 versus 2 is actually worth considering. The mortars you get 3 for 1 point. I would almost always bring that. It's 1 point. That's great. Even if you just do 1 smoke bombardment, you're like, cool, I'm good. Paratroopers. Guess what? We just talked about 2 infantry companies. Same verse, second verse, same as the first. Or I guess it'd be 3rd verse now. You get 3 infantry platoons, and you can take M113s with them, or Hueys. The Hueys, or you get to take, so the way it's read is you have to Add the M113s for 1 point, and then you can replace the M113s with Hueys. Your 3 paratrooper platoons, your associated tank company or platoon, your 81 millimeter mortar platoon, and then either Jeeps, Rabbis, or M150s. Paratrooper platoon. They have a better assault rating, and that's about it for what they are compared to the mechanized company. It's 2 more points, just have one more better assault. Not the biggest fan of that option, but you can take them with Hueys. So you get as 1 point for, you add 4 M113 transports for 1 point to the unit, and then you can replace them all with twin Huey transports. I don't know why they specifically call them twin Huey transports in this book, and I don't think they only call them Hueys in Canada and the US. But Hueys, you know, hey, they're move anywhere, door guns, so they can only shoot when landed. You get to bring in BU-300s. Basically, take the mechanized infantry platoon, give them 1 better assault rating, and let them take helicopters. But again, they also can take the anti-tank jeeps, which are 7 points for 4 map hats. Again, don't like them. You can take 2 map hats for the M150s for 4 points. These are the same map hats you can take in the mechanized company. And then you can take Rabbis. I think Rabbis are the better upgrade from the jeeps. In fact, in my battle report, I actually really like the Rabbis. You can take 4 Rabbis for 7 points or 4 jeeps for 7 points with the map hats. I'm not talking about tows. I think the map hats now are just like, you're better off taking them. If you really need to squeeze 1 point, you could take a tow, I guess. But yeah, the Rabbis. They're front armor, side armor, and top armor of 1. Makes them significantly better than the jeeps. I recommend Rabbis over the jeeps every single time. For the anti-tank, the recon jeeps are take or leave. Recon I usually just kind of throw away. Like if they do something, great. If they don't, whatever. Then we got our division support, as I like to call it. You got your 120 millimeter mortar M113s. They're mortar teams. They're mortar teams than M113s. They'd be better if they were like the French or Finnish mortar teams where they could be on foot. But they're not, so you don't get it. They're fine. You also get M109s or the M270 MLRS SP rocket batteries. You can take minelets on the MLRSs. You don't get to take the, what are they called? The US, they have like that laser guided round, Copperhead rounds. Oh, you also get to take BM-21 Hail rockets. And your observer in an M113. I'm not the biggest fan of artillery in this game. Granted, it's fantastic with Israel because they have a skill 3+. Canadians also have a skill 3+. So with your observer, that's a 2. So yeah, great, awesome. My problem with artillery is it either does something or it does absolutely nothing. In most of my games, when I'm in control of artillery, it does nothing. Unless your name is Mitch, who somehow makes salvo artillery work like every time he uses it. That's why his name's on the brick. But yeah, and I definitely wouldn't take BM-21s over the 109s or the MLRSs, even though it's 9 points for 6, so you get the reroll, but your tank save is a 5+ on the stupid things. That's awful. It's 20 points for the MLRSs to take 6, and I believe they count as 2 batteries each. Yeah, they count as 2 batteries each, so you get 3 for 10 points and 6 for 9 points. So those two are comparable, and at least the MLRS has a front armor and side armor of 0s. So again, they have to at least use 50 cals. And then the M109s are great because, well, if I don't have anything to artillery, just point and delete if you can. It's 7 points for 3 or 14 points for 6. So when it comes to artillery, if you are bringing artillery, I probably wouldn't bring the mortars unless you had 4 points to spare. I wouldn't bring the BM-21s because they're terrible. So you're left with either the M1, and I have these in my Iranians, and I used to use them before my M109s, and I realized they're absolutely awful with their 5-up tank save. You don't need firepower jacks. So yeah, either the MLRSs or M109s are probably your go-to thing. I personally prefer the M109s because if something gets too close, you go, ooh, danger, point gun, and boom. And then, oh look, an observer, an M113 observer. Wish I could take infantry observers in this game. That'd be so much better. Another big reason to play Israel is the para, just like you bring the ADATs in Canada, or I guess the Bradleys in the US, or the weird Dutch things. Oh, what are the Dutch transports? The YPVRs or something? When you play a country, I always think you should bring the country's unique equipment. And the paras are it. They're McGash 5s. They're fine with their anti-tank 21. For 3 more points, you get the TEMAS 2, which is anti-tank 23. It's a little bit pricier than the MAPATs, but if you bring MAPATs, you don't have to bring the TEMAS 2. It's a completely different weapon system. And these are the guys with the NLOS. Oh, they also have the tandem warhead. So they go the TAMAS 2 with the tandem warhead just goes in ERA. Don't care. So if you somehow get a side shot on an ERA armored tank, congratulations. I guess there might be some in the future, like maybe Jordan or Egypt getting ERA armored Centurions or something like that. Anyway, paras. I would almost always bring them. I wish I could bring more. You can only bring 3 per game. Not even per formation, per game, because it's a division support. Paras. Bring them. Toes are fine. TAMASs are better. However, it's 10 points versus 7. Who cares about their stats? They're an anti-tank missile thing. They have 7.62 AA machine guns for self-defense if something gets close. Your AA, you have 4 options. You have the VADs, you have the Shilkas, you have Red Eyes, and you have Chaparrals. Now, I think, I'm going to go back to the division support page. You can either take VADs or Shilkas, you can take a Chaparral, and you can take a Red Eye. Oh, and I guess when it comes to M109s, you can take 2 things of M109s, or 1 M109 and 1 20mm mortars, and either rocket platoons. So M270s or M21s, which just makes the M21s worse. But when it comes to your A, you can take either VADs or Shilkas, Red Eyes, or Chaparrals. I would almost always take VADs because I like VADs. Also, I have like 3 armies that use Shilkas, so I'm kind of tired of Shilkas. I also think the VADs are slightly better. Yeah, they have front armor 3, side armor 2. Same number of, actually the VADs have more shots. It's 1 more point. So better armor. Better halted rate of fire. Same moving rate of fire, same anti-tank, same firepower. Dedicated AA and radar. So for 1 point, take the VADs over the Shilka. Red Eye Sand Platoon, I actually really like. I think in France you can only bring the Red Eyes as or your infantry AA as support, or as like if you bring Chaparrals or whatever AA. No, they're not Chaparrals. It's the missile defense the missile AA that France has. Then you can bring your infantry AA. But for 4 points, you get 4 Red Eyes in the Israelis who don't have any mandatory add-on, and it's 3 shots, 5 firepower for 4 points. Sorry, 3 shots per stand. So that's 12 shots of firepower, 5+ against aircraft. You just can't assault them, and guess what? They can defend points. They're not going to defend very well, but you can take them on a point. Or to building. I don't think anything in the game says you can't shoot your AA out of building. If I'm wrong, again, comment down below. Chaparrals. Don't like them. Again, vehicle safe. Terrible. Yeah, M48 Chaparrals. Terrible. Vehicle safe. 5+. Bad. No good. Don't bring them. Also, they're gigantic models, so it's really hard to hide them. Rabbi Recce Platoon versus Jeeps. Pick your poison. They're roughly the same. You get 3 for 4 points. They have armor. And they have Sayers, so they're better assaults. Oh, I guess they have a 2+ assault. And the Jeeps, I think, are unarmored vehicles. Okay, I think I just warmed myself up to this Rabbis. Because I think the Sayer lets them move assault at 6. So go back to the book. Oh, if a unit passes its motivation test to counterattack, they may choose to break off through enemy teams. Ooh. So you can just bowl on through enemy teams. Also, with an assault 2+, it's fantastic. And if you take out all their... now, granted, assaulting guys with laws and SMAs, they're great against, I guess, the Polish, who don't have RPG-18s for some reason. That's weird, actually, now that I think about that. Yeah, assault 2+. All right, I think I've sold myself on the Rabbi Recce Platoon of the Jeeps. So I'll have to pick up a box of these guys and paint them up. Oh, so much stuff to paint. But yeah, since it's since they actually have armor, you have to shoot them with real guns or real weapons, not just your dudes with their anti-tank 1 rifles. Skyhawks, take them or leave them. Skill 3+ makes their bombs, their cluster bombs, great. They're basically they're bad U.S. Harriers or bad Tornadoes. Tornadoes are 8 points. The anti-tank 7 or anti-tank 8, firepower 3+. The Skyhawks are 6 points for anti-tank 7, firepower 5+. So it's the U.S. Harrier without the jump jets, which doesn't make sense because now that they're the same points. Also, my complaint is, why didn't they give them the Mirage? They literally have a version of the Mirage called the Kafir. Why didn't they get the Kafir? You literally had the Mirage model. Just put the Mirage in the book. And you can arm them with napalm. I don't know why you would ever bring napalm. It's one shot. It's anti-tank 1. It's artillery, and it's auto firepower. Infantry have a 3-0 save in this game. Napalm is terrible. I mean, yeah, it auto pins, and it forces you to reroll your saves, but I don't know if you've seen my battle reports. A lot of people make their 3-up rerollable saves all the time. So, Skyhawks. They're okay. I like them. They're decent enough. Just don't bring the napalms. Now we go to the helicopters, and I go, why? Why, Israel, why? Why did you rename the Cobra the Viper and the Apache the Cobra? I totally understand renaming the Apache because Apaches have nothing to do with Israel. But why would you do this? This is one of the most confusing things ever. Anyway, the Viper, or the Cobra, or the Cobra, or Viper, the AH-1, decent enough. I wouldn't take the toes. I would spend the 2 points to take the map hats. I'm not the biggest fan of the helicopters in Israel right now. But when you're, because I like the Cobras with Iran, because Iran's already really struggling with breaking that anti-tank 20, and it's also the only 4-up hit in Iran. Whereas in this, everything's hit on 4s. You can take a ton of map hats already. I'm not sure if the Viper platoons are worth it. And how many Viper platoons can you bring? You can bring 2 Viper platoons or 2 Cobra platoons. If you can afford the 2 Cobra platoons, wow. I really do not like the Cobra or Apache. It is not because its missile is terrible. The Hellfire missile is an anti-tank 25. That's fantastic. Its minimum range is garbage. It's a 16-inch minimum range. You just drive up to it and you're immune to it. My question is, don't the Apaches have the missile that hit the top of the tank? Why does it not have the missile that hits the top of the tank? I think that would be better. So you just stick your 22-point platoon of Cobras in the corner, or Apaches in the corner, and yeah, sure, you can generally hit. Oh, hey, I guess this is one of the other weapons that makes the Merkava 3's front armor of 23 okay, or not overkill. But yeah, the Cobra or Apache, I'm not a big fan of it. I didn't check his dynamic points because I know both the Viper and the Cobra went down in dynamic points. Skyhawk didn't. I think it should. Or I don't think it should. I think it should have had jump jets. I don't know if the Skyhawk, I mean, I don't know if it would be considered a jump jet, but again, you also should have the Mirage in Israel. Because the Kafir. But yeah, when it comes to helicopters, I'd take them or leave them. It's not terrible to use them, but I'm not a big fan of them in Israel. Which is funny for me to say because, you know, I think my most viewed video is the one where I literally played nothing but helicopters. But that's the Soviets, and not that have missiles that can shoot while moving, and not Cobras, which have to stand still and fire. Although the Cobra does have our aircraft save of 4+, so that's helpful. Lastly, Israel gets to bring Sea Stallions. Why does Canada not get to bring Chinooks? That drives me nuts. But you can take Sea Stallions for your Israelis, for your paratroopers. So you may replace all of the paratrooper platoons Hueys with one Sea Stallion transport helicopter, which is not enough to actually carry all your infantry, because the Sea Stallions carry 10 passengers and you have 11 guys per platoon. So you got 4, 7, 10, you have 12 guys per paratrooper platoon, and you only get one Sea Stallion. Oh, you get to add one Sea Stallion. Oh, hang on. Never mind. Yeah, you get one Sea Stallion for all your Hueys. Oh, and you can actually deploy your paratroopers using the Air Assault Mission Booklet, or the Air Assault Mission Booklet, or the World War III Red Dawn. So that's kind of cool. You can actually deploy your infantry that way. I think that might be special scenarios. But one of the more interesting aspects of the Sea Stallion, and I do like these big helicopters, it adds a variety instead of everyone just spamming Hueys. one of the cool things about this is that you can actually take, you can add 1 Sea Stallion for every 2 Rabbi tank teams or Rabbi recon platoons for 1 point per helicopter. So you can carry 10 infantry per Sea Stallion or 2 Rabbis. So like the Weasels, you can put the Rabbis in. So that way you have on demand, in combat circumcision.
And nip the tip.
I wish Canada could take the Chinooks, and I wish you could put the Iltis stuff in there. I think it would be a lot. It would be really nice if they started adding like believable helicopters to the other factions in NATO. Like I believe the I don't actually know enough about all the other countries. I just complained about Canada because I'm like, I want to build the airborne, but I don't get Chinooks. They had Chinooks. Why can't I take Chinooks? But then Israel gets to take Sea Stallions, and I'm now upsetting spaghetti. I would actually do this if you're doing paratroopers. Forget your boring ass Hueys. Bring a bunch of Sea Stallions. The Sea Stallions are dope. Although I am super disappointed that the rotors are cardboard. And that's pretty much the Army. So then we go to the scenarios. It has some nice scenarios from the Golan Heights, the Golan Heights clash, the Golan Heights counterattack, the encounter in Lebanon, and then your paint guide. The encounter in Lebanon is great because it's also, oh hey, I don't have exactly what they're telling me to bring. You can bring 166 points of Israelis or 160 points of Syrians. That's a lot of T-55s. Oh my god. That'd be awful. You want to talk about parking lots. And it's the desert, so there'd be like nothing in the way. But you can do this as a little campaign, or you can bring, because they have alternate points, just like in Oil Wars and a bunch of other NATO new books. So I like these a little bit. I kind of wish they were more like the Flames Over D-Day book scenarios, but that's fine. These are nice little add-ons. But when it comes to overall Israel, how do I think they are? It's on my one battle report I've done. I think they're okay. I don't think they're the best NATO formation or best NATO army. That is, ironically, in my opinion, probably Canada, with the U.S. also fighting for that spot. Germany's decent. The Dutch are decent. Well, I don't know about the Dutch under anyone's control but Seth. Everything's great under his dice rolls. But yeah, Israel's kind of like in that middle ground. It's good enough. It's good against all the other Warsaw Pact armies. I think it would struggle against, ironically, its Middle Eastern counterparts like Iran, which you saw in that battle report, and definitely Syria. Syria will pull over you like there's no tomorrow because T-72s and T-55s are dirt cheap. BMPs are dirt cheap. Bo has an army of 40 BMP-1s. My Syrian army, the reason why I didn't put that in my battle report is because I have 41 T-55s and 57 BTR-60s. What is Israel supposed to do against that? So, ironically, Israel's really not great against the desert armies, in my opinion. They seem like they would do great against like East Germany, Poland, definitely Poland. Poland doesn't have infantry mounted weapons for some reason. They have like RPG-7s and that's it. And they would do okay against like some of the weaker stuff of the Soviets and the Czechs, right? The Czechs are, yeah, they might do decent against the Cubans. Probably have the same issue against the Cubans as they would against the desert armies. But yeah, overall, I would say it's a nice middle ground army. From everything I've looked at, you're basically left with your Merkavas. Don't bring your Patons or your Centurions; they're not good. Your infantry's fantastic. The biggest winner is the reserve infantry. The biggest loser is the Shoats and the Magashes. The Nagmashot's cool, probably not good, but rule of cool over rule of good in this game. So yeah, I would give this book a middle ground rating. And the nice thing about it is, depending on how you build your army, again, you could use it in Fate of a Nation. You bring Magash 6s, or your infantry alone. Infantry alone with M113s. Hey, look at that. The same formations are in this book. I think this book even has Skyhawks. No Cobras though. So a lot of lead over from Team Yankee IDF or Israel and the Fate of a Nation. So I hope that was informative. I will try to get more of these reviews out later or sooner. I plan on covering the other countries in Oil Wars next. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.